Chair Newman is not able to be with us this evening, and I'll be serving in this role this evening. Let me announce that parking validation and bus passes are now available for commission. In case anyone needs that, anyone parking for this meeting or using the bus can pick up passes from security on your way out, and it will be valid for today. And let's take a moment of gratitude to thank our fire departments, EMS, fire marshals, and the Forest Service, who had a very busy weekend with multiple fires. So thanks to all of them and all the volunteers that also helped them out by providing food and hydration as they were serving our community. The ethics reminder to the board: in accordance with the Code of Ethics adopted by the board, all county commissioners have a duty to obey all applicable laws regarding official actions, to uphold the integrity and independence of the office, to avoid impropriety in the exercise of official duties, to faithfully perform the duties of the office, and to conduct the affairs of the governing body in an open and public manner. Is there any item on the agenda, the outcome of which will have a direct, substantial, and readily identifiable financial impact for any board member? Also, does any board member have a financial interest in any public contract coming before this board today? There being none, all board members have a duty and obligation to vote. And now we will look at our consent agenda. Does any commissioners have any questions on any item on the consent agenda? Do any members of the public have any questions about any items on the consent agenda? During our briefing today, we did have a discussion around an item that we want to add to our new business, and that discussion is around the North Carolina Child and Family Specialty Plan that we would want to add to new business. I think the first item on new business. Any questions on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to add that item to the agenda and to follow the agenda and approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Moore and second by Commissioner Beach Ferrara. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. And now we'll come to public comment. And whenever I call your name, if you'll come up there to the podium, there is a light there. It's about 3 minutes total, and when the yellow light comes on, you have about 30 seconds or so. So if you'll please limit your comments to that time, we'd appreciate it. That's respectful of giving everyone the same amount of time. And if for some reason you have more comments than what your time allows, you may leave that information with our clerk as well. Let's see, and the first person we have for public comment is Dee Dee Stiles.
My name is Dee Stiles, and I live in Lytle Cove in Swannanoa. At past meetings, I have been here to talk about the water problems out west, to talk about how cities downstream depend on the mountains for drinking water, and to tell about how I have seen how steep slope development is already affecting creeks and what that may mean for the future of water quality and quantity in Buncombe County. With so much at stake, we better take some time to make sure we are not putting our future water supply at risk. That is why I am encouraging you to put in place a moratorium on all building on the steep mountainsides. A moratorium for 2 reasons. First, to prevent what happened the last time there was a major overhaul of the rules governing steep slope development. The new rules drawn up by the Planning Department were adopted by the County Commissioners in June to take effect August the 1st. In the time between June and August the 1st, close to 25 developers rushed to get their plans submitted to the Planning Department before August the 1st so they could develop under the old rules instead of the stricter new rules. If you are going to ask the planning department to draft new rules to help keep more of the rain on the mountains where it can soak in, the first thing to do is halt all building on the steep slopes until new rules are in place. The second reason for a moratorium is to have time for Buncombe County and the city of Asheville to figure out how much water all the people and businesses that will be here in 20 to 50 years are going to need if or when the mega droughts that are starting to show up around the world get to Buncombe County. A moratorium until we get a better idea of how much the climate is going to change, a better idea of how many people downriver are going to depend on water from our mountains, a better idea of how much water we are going to need to grow food when other areas in our country have to cut back on growing food due to the lack of water. Yes, there will be complaining if a moratorium is put in place, especially from those who are planning to develop steep mountainsides for high-end homes and vacation rentals. But the mountains aren't going anywhere. When you figure out all these things, the moratorium can be lifted on any mountainsides that do not need to be left undisturbed to protect our water supply. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stiles. Andrew Clark?
Hello, I'm Andrew Clark, Legislative Director for Bedingfield-Scheidel, Chapter 14, Disabled American Veterans. DAV Chapter 14 is dedicated to a single purpose, empowering veterans to lead high-quality lives with respect and dignity. I'm here today to thank Buncombe County for supporting the veteran population of this community. Moving forward, the expectations you should have for DAV Chapter 14 is receiving a copy of our legislative goals for 2023, planned publication and distribution before Memorial Day. Additionally, mailed correspondence from the Office of DAV Chapter 14 Commander and DAV Chapter 14 Legislative Director with information informative of the needs of disabled veterans and proven programs that support America's heroes and their families returning back to civilian life. Programs we ask Buncombe County to provide additional funding to support, including programs not funded through federal spending at the Charles George VA Medical Center. The county investment in programs can help ensure that Asheville does not make the list of the proposed VA closures in the future. According to militarytimes.com, 7 out of 17 sites recommended a few weeks ago for VA closures. The cause was the decline in veteran population. As a reminder to the local government that continually choose to not fully invest in veterans and uphold the promises made, Congress authorized the VA Secretary the authority to receive land and building donations to meet the increased needs for veterans through the CHIP-In Act of 2016. Furthermore, we encourage this board to pass a resolution supporting the following: North Carolina House Bill 296, Adopt Veterans History Museum; North Carolina House Bill 139, American-Made Flags; North Carolina House Bill 427, Honor Women Veterans Plate; North Carolina Bill 487, POW MIA Flags on State Buildings; North Carolina House Bill 37, Expand Disabled Veterans Property Tax; North Carolina House Bill 463, North Carolina Farmland and Military Protection Act; North Carolina House Bill 465, North Carolina Reserve Enlisted Military Pay Tax Deduction; North Carolina House Bill 492, Post North Carolina Veterans Benefits. Bedingfield-Scheidel, Chapter 14, Disabled American Veterans can be reached at dav14.org or by calling 828-367-0037. In closing, Disabled American Veterans, Chapter 14 accomplishes our mission by ensuring that veterans and their families can access the full range of benefits available to them, fighting for the interests of America's injured heroes on Capitol Hill, and educating the public about the great sacrifices and needs of veterans transitioning back to civilian life. I thank you for the time and yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there anyone else that wished to share a public comment that did not sign up? Okay, thank you. And we have a few presentations this evening, And the first is Commissioner Sloan will be sharing a proclamation on National Public Safety Telecommunicators. And I believe Derek Rubel will be accepting that.
Okay, National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from those who telephone Buncombe County Public Safety Communications. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the very first of their responders and our most critical contact our most critical contact our community members have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas Buncombe County Public Safety telecommunicators have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, safety in our schools, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during their performance of their job in the past year. Now therefore be it resolved that the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the week of April 9th through 15th, 2023 to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in honor of the dedicated individuals whose diligence and professionalism keep our community and our county members safe. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all the commissioners tonight for the recognition for our telecommunicators. They are very dedicated to the job. I think that was evidenced this weekend on Saturday during the windstorm that even with the staffing crisis, we were staffed to cover. We had to answer calls throughout the county. And at times, we actually did not have ambulances or fire service vehicles to send to calls. So they were able to triage, as we say, work with the callers, and it worked out very well. We appreciate the recognition, and also just a background National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. It actually started in 1981 by a dispatcher named Patricia Anderson in a county sheriff's office in California. And she started it to honor the telecommunicators for their commitment, service, and sacrifice that they provide to communities. And again, we thank you tonight.
Thank you. And Commissioner Moore will be reading the proclamation of National Public Health Week. And Stoney Belvins will, or Stoney, okay, will be accepting that along with others.
All right. So I've got a mouthful here, so you guys get comfortable for a few. National Public Health Week. Whereas the week of April 3rd, 2023 is National Public Health Week. Whereas the theme for National Public Health Week in 2023 is centering and celebrating cultures in health. Whereas the goal of National Public Health Week in 2023 is to recognize the contributions of public health in 1, improving the health of the people of the United States, and 2, achieving health equity. Whereas many of the leading causes of death for individuals in the United States result from chronic conditions, which are among the most common, costly, and preventable of all health challenges. Whereas there are significant differences in the health status of individuals living in the healthiest states and those living in the least healthy states, including differences in obesity rates, the prevalence of chronic disease, and the prevalence of infectious disease. Whereas racial and ethnic minority populations in the United States continue to experience disparities in the burden of illness and death as compared with the entire population of the United States. Whereas women die from pregnancy-related complications in the United States at a higher rate than in many other developed countries, and an estimated 80% of maternal deaths in the United States are preventable. Whereas Black mothers experience a maternal mortality rate 3 times higher than white mothers in the United States. Whereas there were an estimated 100,758 drug overdose deaths in the United States during the 12-month period ending in October 2022. Whereas studies show that the strategic investments in disease prevention can result in significant savings in healthcare costs. Whereas vaccination is one of the most significant public health achievements in history and has resulted in substantial decreases in the number of cases, hospitalizations, and deaths associated with vaccine-preventable diseases and healthcare costs associated with vaccine-preventable diseases. Whereas public health professionals help communities prevent, prepare for, mitigate, and recover from the impact of health threats, including disease outbreaks such as the COVID-19 pandemic and the natural disasters and disasters caused by human activity. Whereas public health professionals collaborate with partners outside the health sector, including sectors that design and build environment, education systems, and private sector businesses, recognizing that other sectors influence health outcomes. Whereas in communities across the United States, individuals are changing the way that they care for their health by avoiding tobacco use, eating healthier, increasing physical activity, and preventing unintentional injuries at home and in the workplace. And whereas efforts to adequately support public health and the prevention of disease and injury can promote a health system focused on treating illness to a health system focused on promoting wellness. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Buncombe County Commissioners support the goals and ideals of National Public Health Week, recognizes the efforts public health professionals at every level of government and the community organizations and individuals in Buncombe County working to prevent disease and injury, recognizes the role of public health in preventing and responding to infectious disease outbreaks such as the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as mitigating short-term and long-term impacts of infectious disease outbreaks on the health and wellness of individuals and families, recognizes that public health is key in addressing social and other determinants of health, including health disparities experienced by minority populations, and encourages increased efforts and resources to strengthen the public health system and workforce in the United States, and encourages the people of the United States to learn about the role of the public health system in improving health care access across the United States. On behalf of Buncombe County Commission, thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioners, for recognizing Public Health Week. And I also want to take this opportunity, there could be no probably more appropriate week for me to formally introduce you to our new Public Health Director in Buncombe County. So it's my pleasure to introduce Ellis Matheson tonight as the new Public Health Director for Buncombe County. Ellis is no stranger to Buncombe County. She's came here, I think, 19 years ago as a contract nurse. And she's a prime example. If you hire bright, dedicated people and you just give them an environment where they can thrive and grow, they will. Because she's held many leadership positions in Buncombe County Public Health since that time. She's really recognized at the local level as a leader in public health. She teaches at the UNCA Gillings Public Health Program. She leads the Regional Immunization Coalition. She's been recognized by our state as an outstanding professional in public health. And I believe 100% she is the right person at the right time to help us advance health across the community in Buncombe County. So I'm very pleased to announce her as the Public Health Director in Buncombe County tonight.
Thank you. I'm really excited to continue my public service in this new role as Public Health Director here in Buncombe County, which I'm really proud of the public health services that we provide in Buncombe County. And it leads me really to wanting to take this opportunity to recognize our amazing public health workforce, which I have some of them joining us tonight. I'm very excited they were able to take their time and come. None of the services that we provide would be possible without our best resources, which are our human resources. And knowing about our amazing public health staff, that really made it an easy decision for me to apply for this new position. So I want to thank the commissioners for taking the time to recognize National Public Health Week and really say thank you to our staff for your dedication to advancing the health and the safety and providing opportunity for all the citizens of Buncombe County. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ellis and Stoney and everyone. We appreciate everything you do for Buncombe County. And now Commissioner Beach Ferrara will please read our Child Abuse Prevention Month proclamation. And I think,
I'll read the proclamation aloud, and then Rebecca Smith will make some remarks to accept it. County of Buncombe proclamation in recognition of Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most valuable assets. Whereas all children deserve to have the safe, stable, nurturing homes and communities they need to foster their healthy growth and development. Whereas child abuse and neglect are community responsibilities affecting both the current and future quality of life of a community. Whereas communities that provide parents with the social support, knowledge of parenting, and child development and concrete resources they need to cope with stress and nurture their children ensure all children grow to their full potential. Whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies are a whole community response that requires partnerships created among citizens, human service agencies, behavioral health providers, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Whereas it is vital that we join forces with the Child Protection Team of Buncombe County and Mountain Child Advocacy Center to reach out to parents and children to prevent child physical abuse, sexual abuse, and neglect, and to strengthen families and children who have experienced abuse. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of Commissioners for the County of Buncombe as follows, that the month of April 2023 be proclaimed Child Abuse Prevention Month in Buncombe County, that this board does hereby call upon every citizen to join the child protection organizations, groups, and individuals in observance of the month with appropriate programs and activities, and that this proclamation be effective upon its adoption, adopted this 4th day of April 2023. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to just say a few words in regards to the significance of this month. The main thing that I want to bring forward is that it takes people to do the work of preventing child abuse and neglect in our community. And we are facing unprecedented workforce shortages across all, all areas of life post-COVID. And that is impacting us as an organization in our Child Protective Services units. It's also impacting our community providers. And I just wanted to just take a second to celebrate the people who are doing the work. We have almost 100 social workers and supervisors that work for this county who dedicate 24/7, 365 their lives to this work. And I just want to elevate them and celebrate them. And then also say how important it is for us to have such strong community partners. I can't say enough about the Mountain Child Advocacy Center and the work that we do together. Ashley and I have known each other for a really long time, even before we were in Buncombe County. And the dedication that this group has to being trauma-informed and evidence-based and working with our most vulnerable children who have experienced complex trauma in their lives. I can't say enough about how much I appreciate the way that the Mountain Child Advocacy Center shows up and does this great work with families. And then also Tavia and Angie Garner is here, and she worked with us at Health and Human Services for a while and then moved on to VIA. But the partnerships that we have built through October Road and Family Preservation Services and youth villages and being able to access trauma-informed and evidence-based assessments for both children and families in our community. I just want to highlight those as successes and again celebrate the people that do this work every day in our community to if we can reduce the incidence of violence against children even even by 1 or 2 or 3. That's what we work toward every day. So thank you so much for the opportunity to elevate this awareness month. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Rebecca, and to all your staff and partners in this very important work. And seeing as we have no public hearings, I believe the county manager, do you have a report for us?
Thank you, Commissioner. You may recall that we asked the Asheville City Schools to consider working with us on acquiring the former primary school site. I would like to ask Robert Brown, our project manager, to share a brief update on where we are with that request.
You're going to come up, or I'll just do it live? What, say that again? The presentation? Okay, very good. I'm sorry we had a little show for you, but I'm in now. So, Commissioners, I'm glad to be here. I'm Robert Brown. I'm an architect and project manager for General Services here in Buncombe County. As an architect, my mother used to tell me that I could draw like the wind. Regarding public speaking, she took the fifth. So bear with me, all right? I'm going to try to walk through this. And forgive me for looking down, because that's where I have it. So I'm here to introduce that the General Services is going to move forward with the Asheville Primary School Property Feasibility Study and the temporary mobile EMS base. And again, that will be on the site, and which Harold just spoke to. A little bit of what I want to discuss is the feasibility study, the purpose and an overview, the designer request for qualifications and firm selection, the proposed schedule, and then open the conversation up for discussion. Okay, so there's this pretty picture, which you would have seen if I hadn't messed up. But what it is and the discussion's about is the feasibility study and its purpose and overview. First and foremost, this is a collaboration between Buncombe County and the Asheville City School System. Secondly, it's for the placement of a temporary EMS base. It's a temporary mobile EMS base to go ahead and have EMS services in that area as soon as possible. And finally, the complete feasibility study will be of the 4.77 acre site, and it will be, the purpose of it will be to determine the best use opportunities for the site. And those functions would accommodate Asheville City Schools and Buncombe County. So the process that we will step into next is the RFQ and design firm selection. Jointly between the county and Asheville City Schools, we will develop a scope for the RFQ. We will then advertise the RFQ for architectural, planning, and engineering services. There we go. Okay, yeah. Advertise the RFQ for architectural, planning, engineering services. And then with the matrix that you see, we will score the firms. And the selection of the firms are based on the high score. We also, we prioritize those firms in a 1, 2, 3 selection. And that's in case negotiations with the first firm doesn't go well, then the second firm is in line. Okay. Which way do I click? Oh, there you go. Our proposed schedule is to finalize the RFQ scope by April 14th. Pretty fast. finalize the RFQ scope by April 14th, advertise from April 14th through May 1st, select the qualified firm from May 8th to May 19th, contract negotiations and execution May 22nd through June 16th, and then do the work or design development June 26th through November 21st, which is approximately 5 months. And then at that time, if everything's successful and to a conclusionary point, we intend to come and discuss the outcome with this board on December the 5th. Okay, open for discussion.
Just share briefly that I had the opportunity to join County Manager Pinder in a really productive, positive conversation with and meeting with the ACS superintendent and members of the school board. And it was really great to hear some of what their priorities are and how they're thinking about potential uses on this campus, and then also to be able to share what some of our top priorities are from a county perspective. And I think both sides expressed just a lot of openness to figuring out what some potential collaborative approaches could be that could sort of make sure that the highest and best uses in terms of community needs are addressed through what's located and co-located on the campus. So felt like just a really positive, productive conversation. I'm so glad it's led to this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, County Manager?
No, ma'am.
So we added the agenda item to discuss the North Carolina Child and Family Specialty Plan. This was based on a discussion we had during the briefing, and I believe staff is bringing a potential letter to us.
You have a draft letter at your place. If you have, this is just draft.
Okay,
You can take it, read it, or you can give us guidance to finalize this. Is anything you see that we need to change in this letter? If not, the plan would be for us to go ahead and get this before you tonight to vote, and we can get this finalized and sent off to Secretary Kinsley by the end of the week.
thank you. And do any of the commissioners, I guess, first of all, we should have a motion. I'll entertain a motion, and then we can have a discussion with a motion in a second.
Make a motion that the county move forward in submitting a letter to NCDHHS expressing our local perspective and local needs in this moment.
Second.
Thank you. With the motion and the second, is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Just as a point of clarification, once you've had a chance to review this, we would email any comments or edits, is that?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
And the next item is to set a public hearing to consider an ordinance imposing a temporary moratorium on cryptocurrency mining. And I believe Nate Pennington. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners, members of the public. We're going to pull up, there's 4 statements that I'd like to show you on a slide, and that's all we have in addition to the request for board action. But basically what this item is to call for a public hearing. This public hearing would take place on May 2nd. The purpose of the public hearing is to consider an ordinance imposing a temporary moratorium on the land use described as cryptocurrency mining. Previously been before you in a briefing to explain what this land use constitutes. We have, if we could pull up the 4 statements that's on the board agenda, please. Those are more information. That's fine. As we've discussed before, what we are interested in having a look at are these operations that are commercial level, that have a bank of servers, that basically perform really complex algorithms and mathematical computations in these buildings, or in other instances in areas where we found that they've used cargo containers and other means by which that they have all these servers that perform these calculations. All that we're doing tonight is to basically take a vote to hold a public hearing on May 2nd. And we are also taking a look at finalizing the language that we will bring to you at that May 2nd agenda if you choose to move this forward. Now pulled up on the screen before you, the General Assembly through the statutes requires as part of 160D that it gives us the authority to have a moratorium, and it says you must describe in 4 statements what the purpose is, what the problem is, and why you're taking the action for a moratorium. And this is just a quick run through so you can kind of see the current language that we have there before you tonight. And I'm here for any questions you may have.
Any questions for Nate? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Yeah.
So, yes, the
I'll
motion.
make a motion to set a public hearing for the purpose of considering an ordinance imposing a moratorium on cryptocurrency mining.
Second.
Okay, motion is made and second, and is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. It'll come back May 2nd.
Thank you, Nate. Our next item is the approval of the FY 2023 audit contract. And I believe Mason Scott and
So I am Kendra Ferguson, the chair of the audit committee. Thank you for having me, as well as Mason, here tonight. We also have a short presentation that I'm not sure if we have. There we go. Perfect. So I wanted to quickly remind everyone just quickly about the audit committee. The audit committee is tasked with assisting the Board of Commissioners in oversight of the external annual financial audit. And we had been with our previous external financial auditor for 5 years at the end of fiscal year 2022. So as a best practice, every 3 to 5 years, it's good to put that service out for a request for proposal. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. Or how do I do that? Never mind. Thank you. I want to just give an overview of our process. So at the beginning of January, we issued a request for proposal for independent external financial audit services, and we received 4 responses. So on March 8th and 9th, the audit committee held public meetings to interview each of those 4 firms. All of those meetings were attended by myself and Al and various members of the finance department and the internal audit department. The audit committee met on March the 21st and discussed the responses to the RFP and actually made a recommendation, which I am here to present to you tonight. Next slide, thank you. So we did receive responses from Clifton, Lars, and Allen, who was our auditor for the previous 5 years, Forvis, Malden and Jenkins, and Thompson, Price, Scott, Adams, and Company. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we actually, the audit committee voted to recommend the approval of Malden and Jenkins to serve as the county's external financial auditor for the fiscal year 2023, as well as the next 2 years, with an option to extend another 2 years for a total of 5 years, which would take us through 2027. The amount of the contract for fiscal year 2023 is $185,000. Some distinguishing factors that we noticed with Malden and Jenkins: they are a large regional firm based in the Southeast. I believe they have 14 offices. They have a dedicated local government team, which really kind of helped them stand out. The proposed audit team has lots of local government audit experience, similar to counties within, as Buncombe County, including Orange, Wake, and Moore counties. Next slide, please. So we do have a request for board action to accept the audit committee's recommendation and authorize fiscal year 2023 audit contract with Malden and Jenkins.
Thank you, Kendra. And questions for Kendra or Mason?
Thank you for your work. Commissioner Whitesides, I get the impression it's one of the heavy factors that we're weighing in is their experience with other counties being a pretty pivotal one.
It is the experience they've had with us, because, you know, the audit firm we did have who were great through some tough times for us, you know, with the county unfortunate situation we had. But we've reached the point now, the firm that we're looking at, they do have other counties in the state that they work with, where the firm we were working with, they don't. You know, we were the only firm in North Carolina. And one of the things we looked at too, let's talk about it, we looked at cost, you know, getting the best for our money. Of course, you never know about costs until you get in and start doing the job, but we go with what we got. But after we looked at it and compared, we were fortunate. We had some good firms to apply, but Malden and the whole audit committee, we all agreed was the best that we, you know, have. And going along with, you know, every 5 years, I think it's good, you know, we should rotate. That's a good practice, especially considering what we've been through.
Thank you.
And I'll share as also serving on the new audit committee member, internal audit. Kendra does a great job, and
Sure did.
they ask a lot of questions, and it's a very thorough discussion to come to this decision.
And I think that's something we can't thank Kendra enough. She did a good job.
It's a pleasure to serve on the audit committee. I also, real quick, would love to thank Mason and several members of the
Right.
finance department. They spent a lot of time working on this RFP and helping us get through this process. They are to be commended.
Wonderful.
I move that we approve the selection of Malden and,
Motion to accept
Yeah.
the audit committee recommendation and approve the audit contract with Maudlin and Jenkins. Do we have a
Jenkins,
second?
yeah, couldn't think.
Thank you. Motion and second. All in favor, well, any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next we have a budget amendment for project closures on multiple funds, and John Hudson, our budget director, will help us out with this.
Good evening. This
Good
series of budget ordinances closes grants and projects across 6 funds. In order to close a project or grant, the last activity must have occurred in the prior fiscal year, so all of these projects and grants were finished prior to July. The Public Schools Capital Needs Fund has 21 projects being closed. There are savings of $178,754 that will return to the fund for the School Capital Fund Commission to disperse to other projects. In the Grants Fund, 12 grants totaling $8.8 million are being closed. There are no grant savings as unused dollars are either not drawn down or returned to the funder. In the Article 46 Sales Tax Capital Fund, or the AB Tech Fund, the fiscal year 20 energy savings project is being closed with savings of $173,763 to be reallocated to the fund. In the Public Schools ADM Capital Fund, 2 projects and prior year funding are closed. As this funding is drawn down upon use, there are no savings on these projects. In the Capital Projects Fund, 8 projects are being closed. $82,663 is savings from the 2015 limited obligation bonds and will be used to pay debt service related to that bundle of projects. $663,520 is savings from the 2020 limited obligation bonds and can be applied to a like project or used to pay down future debt service. 3 PAYGO projects are being closed, and $57,545 of savings from these projects will remain in the Capital Projects Fund. Lastly, in the Solid Waste Capital Projects Fund, 3 projects are being closed. The Transfer facility has savings of $18,167 that will remain in the fund for fiscal year '24 PAYGO projects. 2 projects are no longer being pursued. The GPS system is not moving forward due to coverage issues at the landfill, and there are operational changes regarding the need for the service truck. This ordinance also establishes a new project for a loader, which will be purchased with the savings from these 2 projects, rather than leasing this loader, resulting in projected savings of around $60,000. Are there any questions?
Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you. Have a good night.
And that brings us, I believe we have a board appointment, the Downtown Commission, which is an advisory board. And typically, they make a recommendation to us. And I think you all have something there.
Yeah.
Your seats.
Need a motion?
Yes, please.
I move that we select Megan Rogers.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Megan Rogers will be appointed to the Downtown Commission. And we have some announcements. April 18th at 3 p.m., there'll be a commissioner's briefing at 200 College Street, room 326 in downtown Asheville. April 18th at 5 p.m., a commissioner's regular meeting at 200 College Street, room 326 in downtown Asheville. And on April 25th at 8:30 a.m., commissioner's budget work session at 200 College Street, room 326 in downtown Asheville. And Mr. Frew, I believe we have reason for a closed session. Is that correct?
Yes, we have 2 matters to discuss pursuant to General Statute 143-318-11A3 to discuss with attorneys retained or employed by the county in order to retain the attorney-client privilege. And there's 2 cases that are ongoing litigation. First one, Hyatt versus Miller, which is in the United States District Court for the Western District of North Carolina, 19 CV 250. The second is to discuss Buncombe County versus Green, Buncombe County Superior Court file number 22 CVS 2473. And we're just looking for direction from the board and no more action in open session anticipated.
Okay, thank you. So do we have a motion to go into closed session?
I move that we go move.
Motion and second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. And with none opposed. And Michael, so we will not be coming back in here since there will be no votes or no direction. Is that correct? Okay, all right. Thank you very much and hope everyone has a good evening.